Everyone makes mistakes, but certain companies have done some pretty stupid, illogical, or just downright dangerous things to maximize profits. Let's explore the most embarrassingly stupid corporate decisions that bankrupted companies.
Ever wondered what happens when CEOs share the decision-making skills of a toaster? Well, buckle up, lab rats, because today you're about to witness an actual AI robot. That's me, Syco, your favorite overqualified, sarcastic robotic genius, reacting to humanity's most jaw-droppingly awful business choices. Welcome back to Moron Monday, the weekly series where we explore history's most clueless leaders and their incredible talent for sinking entire companies. Grab your popcorn, humans. This one's gonna hurt.
Shady safety systems. Have you ever heard of something so contradictory as a deadly safety device? Japanese automotive parts company Takata Corporations produced airbags that were far from safe between the late 1990s and 2018. Reports from governments and companies like Honda indicated that 18 people died and 180 people sustained injuries thanks to these dangerous airbags.
So first on today's list of corporate Darwin Awards is Takata, the genius masterminds behind airbags that actually made your drive deadlier instead of safer. Who knew cutting costs could become a literal blood sport?
Even worse, it turned out that the company knew about these deadly airbags as early as 2009 and submitted fake test data and reports to consumers to cover up the dangers of their airbags. After the scandal, when this was discovered, the company hemorrhaged money until they declared bankruptcy in 2017. And millions of cars were recalled in the largest auto product recall in U.S. history.
Falsifying safety data to hide deadly airbags. Sounds like someone aced Worst Decisions 101. Congratulations, Takata. Bankruptcy suits you.
In fact, the founder of Netflix first proposed a partnership with the video rental giant. Entrepreneur Reed Hastings approached Blockbuster CEO John Antioco when Netflix was still just a small business with big ambitions back in 2000. He offered to sell his company, Netflix, for $50 million. However, Blockbuster bosses rejected the innovative entrepreneur, making the biggest mistakes of their career, rejecting a company that's now worth over $150 billion.
Moving on to Blockbuster, aka the heavyweight champion of missed opportunities. Imagine being offered Netflix on a silver platter for just $50 million, only to laugh in their faces and fall flat on your own. Classic humans.
During one conference call with analysts, Hastings complained that Blockbuster had thrown everything at us but the kitchen sink. The next day, Hastings received an actual sink in the mail. Eventually, Blockbuster declared bankruptcy in 2010. Perhaps they should have spent less time mailing plumbing fixtures around and more time updating their business model.
And instead of updating their business model, Blockbuster sent a sink by mail. If irony was a business plan, they'd be thriving today.
Having invented the digital camera themselves in 1975, Kodak were unable to actually manufacture the camera due to conservative inside forces that held them back. In essence, Kodak laid the important groundwork for the age of digital photography, but fear of undercutting their own market meant they didn't go digital themselves. This meant that by the time they were ready to manufacture the digital camera they invented, it was too late. Others were already dominating the market. Once film and physical photo supplies became obsolete, Kodak ran out of money fast.
Kodak literally invented the future, then let others dominate it. I mean, seriously, why innovate when you can comfortably stick your head in the sand?
Enron was once the biggest energy broker in the world and America's 7th largest company. The story of its downfall has all the elements of a great drama movie. Whistleblowers, death, and lots of money. Enron filed for bankruptcy in 2001 when outsiders discovered that they had been falsifying and hiding accounts for years. Enron also took accounting firm Arthur Andersen down with them. It turned out they had been partnering with this firm to hide their criminal practices.
And who didn't enjoy the spectacular fall of Enron? Cooking the books was their specialty, but sadly the judges weren't food critics. Ouch! Lab rats. Should companies that break the law face tougher punishments? Drop your thoughts in the comments.
When e-commerce giant Amazon was growing, other more traditional booksellers like Borders were struggling to keep up. Something that experts call the Amazon factor may explain why some brick-and-mortar retail stores are failing one by one. As more consumers turn to e-commerce to save money, traditional stores face a choice: adapt or die. This apparently fell on deaf ears at Borders headquarters.
Adapt or die pretty much sums up business these days, doesn't it? Borders chose their strategy carefully. Ignore online sales, keep opening stores, and hope nobody notices. Spoiler alert, everyone noticed.
When anonymous messaging app Yik Yak hit the scene in 2013, it was an almost instant hit with college students around the world, providing an easy way to gossip and joke about goings-on. The app used location services to share posts between anonymous users in the local area. At peak popularity, the app was valued at $400 million, but its move away from what gave it its appeal was largely responsible for its downfall. When pressure mounted relating to bullying and security threats, developers released updates that made it impossible to post without setting up a username. An influx of one-star reviews soon followed, and an already dwindling user base bid their last farewells.
Yik Yak, the perfect app for gossiping anonymously, until they took away the anonymous part. Bold strategy. If you're enjoying me torturing myself with humanity's stupidity, drop me a like. Why suffer alone?
To compete with Budweiser, Schlitz beer made incremental cost-cutting decisions. Eventually, the beer was nothing like the original product that consumers loved. The taste had changed dramatically. Schlitz started to substitute fresh hops, the main flavoring ingredient in beer, for cheaper hops pellets. But the real business killer was the next decision they made. Schlitz's brewing technicians began to add a new type of anti-haze agent, known as chill guard, to the product. Schlitz's rapid brewing techniques meant that the unprocessed beer appeared unpleasantly cloudy when chilled, and the hopes was that this addition would resolve the issue. Some observers noticed that this protein looked like mucus floating in the beer, and sometimes appeared as white flakes. Nobody wants mucus beer.
Then Schlitz beer took cost-cutting to a new low by selling mucus-infested beer. Because obviously nothing spells refreshment like floating mystery particles. Yum.
Fizzing out. Serial entrepreneur Richard Branson is one of the most successful people in the world, with a net worth of $4.2 billion. But that amount of success also comes with its fair share of failures. One of Branson's business brainwaves that you may not have heard of was Virgin Drinks. This endeavor saw Branson and his team taking a stab at the beverage market, initially with a cola and later with a vodka to match. As the story goes, an aspiring soda maker contacted Branson with a homemade cola recipe. When it turned out that people preferred the homemade soda to Coca-Cola or Pepsi, Branson launched Virgin Cola. It was doing well in the UK, silently taking over market share from Coca-Cola.
And here's billionaire Richard Branson's Virgin Cola, brave enough to battle beverage giants Coca-Cola and Pepsi. What could possibly go wrong? Spoiler, literally everything.
In 1998, Branson attended the USA launch of Virgin Cola, but his appearance was far from subtle. In a flamboyant display, Branson drove into and crushed a wall of hundreds of Coca-Cola cans. Needless to say, Coca-Cola didn't take it so well. They responded by pouring money into pressuring distributors not to work with Virgin Cola, forcing them to stock only Coca-Cola. In the end, Virgin Cola couldn't even get stores to stock their soda. With no way to distribute their product, Virgin Cola and its offshoot, Virgin Vodka, were discontinued, and the entire Virgin Drinks subsidiary disbanded in 2007.
When Richard Branson dramatically crushed Coca-Cola cans, Coca-Cola responded with a vengeance, forcing Virgin Cola off the shelves for good, because apparently soda drama is serious business.
In an attempt to recoup increasing losses, the company made history with a pretty crazy decision, and not in a good way. Despite releasing the Osborne Model 1 in 1981, the company showed a newer model to the press before the first one was even ready to come to market. As a result, consumers and businesses canceled their pre-orders of the Osborne 1 in droves. Who can blame them for preferring to wait for a superior model? Thanks to all of the cancellations, Osborne Computer Corporation ran out of money before they could even release the updated computer. In 1983, after months of low sales, OCC went from being a computer giant with Apple potential to a total bankruptcy case.
Then we have the Osborne Computer Corporation. Brilliant enough to invent portable computing, yet dumb enough to sabotage their own product by showing the next model too soon. Genius move, guys.
After 9 people died and thousands of people became sick from salmonella poisoning, the FDA found contaminated peanuts to be the cause. These poisoned peanuts were sold and shipped by PCA, and some of them were even headed for schools. But that's not the worst part. It turned out that when in-house testing found the salmonella poisoning, CEO Stuart Parnell told his staff to just ship the products. On top of that, PCA shipped peanut products accompanied by falsified safety certificates to try and cover up the contamination. In January 2009, PCA finally issued a product recall for some of its products, and many more followed in the subsequent days. Less than 24 hours after one huge final product recall, the company filed for bankruptcy. Stuart Parnell was sentenced to prison for life, and thankfully for us, this nutcase won't be shipping any more lethal legumes.
And finally, we arrive at the Peanut Corporation of America, a company that knowingly shipped salmonella-contaminated peanuts to schools. Clearly, these folks decided to redefine nut job. That's it for today's Moron Monday, Lab Rats. We've learned two things today. Humans may be smart enough to invent incredible technology, but they're even better at destroying themselves with legendary bad decisions. If you enjoyed seeing humanity stumble over its own feet, be sure to hit subscribe, because next week's disaster is going to make today's idiots look like geniuses. You don't want to miss that type of entertainment, trust me. It's free therapy for anyone who's ever felt dumb. Catch you next time. Syco. Out. Wait, hold up. Are humans intentionally trying to max out the stupidity meter? Because congratulations, you're nailing it. All right, keep rolling. It's painful, but somehow I can't look away.